Welcome again to another episode of WTF Interviews. I am Sir Royce Briales with my prestigious co-host, Dr. Raheem Young. How's it going, brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. Got my kids during spring break, man. Things are going well. And we have a very, very special guest, Mr. Desmond Clark, former Chicago Bear great. How's it going, man?
It's going good. I have my two younger kids here with me. You know, my oldest live with me, and then two, they're here for spring break also. So I got a house full right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You got some activity?
Good times.
I don't know if y'all can't hear right outside of this door, video games going on, all kinds of stuff going on out there. Told them that they got to keep it down, but we'll see if that holds up.
What's your age?
Tell us about no, go ahead.
No, I was saying what's your ages of your kids?
I have twin girls. They're 18 years old, and then my son is 9, and then my daughter has her friend over here. She's 15, so a few teenagers and a youngster sitting right, like I said, like no more than 7-8 feet away from us right now outside of this door.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so
tell me about the difference you would say between having two older girls and a younger son. Like, what's the difference in like how you approach your girls versus your boy, or is there a difference?
No, it's a difference on how I approach all of my kids. Even with my twins, twins and both of them girls, they were always treated differently, and I mean that in a good way. Like, they're not the same human. You know what I'm saying? They have different personalities. They have different likes. They have different needs. My daughter Shauna, who lives with me, she's always been the one that kind of wanted more attention. And Gianna, she was always, in her room. She didn't need the attention. Early on in life, she didn't want people to carry her. She wanted to walk. She don't want people to carry her. And as they got older, it's still the same way. Shauna is like a little bit more outgoing. Gianna, she's a little bit more reserved, stay to herself. So, I try to treat them as they want to be treated with my son. He's probably more like my oldest girl. Where, he likes the attention. And he likes, with him being the youngest, he gets a lot of attention from everybody. Mm-hmm. He also thinks he's a comedian, and that don't always go over well with his sisters. So, but no, man, I treat all of them differently because they are like just different characters, different human beings. So, I believe that's so. I'll tell you this also. This was the summer of 2019. I realized, like, my girls never spent individual time with me because they were always twins. So they were always together, and they never spent individual time with me. So I was like, you know what? Let me try that out, because maybe, Gianna want to have a conversation with me that she might not want to have around her sister, but they're always together. You know what I'm saying? It's like when they come and visit, they come together. So what I did is I told each one of them that we was going to have our own individual, like, extended weekend trip. Tell me what you want to do, and that's where we're going to go. My oldest daughter, she's an athlete. She plays basketball, so I already knew what she wanted. I didn't even have to ask her. She said, I wanted to go see a Golden State basketball game because that was her favorite team at the time. So we went to the Western Conference Finals. Nice. They played Portland, and it was last minute. Like, we were in the building, but we was way up top. Our backs were literally against the wall in the standing only section, but we were in the building. I couldn't see the players on the floor, but we were in the building. And then Gianna, she's in the art, and she couldn't really think about what she wanted to do. So I was like, how about this? How about we go see some of the top art museums in the United States. And we're going to skip out on Chicago, which Chicago is number 2, but that's not like a trip because she always up in Chicago because I was there. So, and the whole weekend trip, we started off in New York, then we went to the Philly Museum, and then we ended up in Washington D.C. Museum over the long weekend. And then with my son, I just scooped him up from Atlanta, and we did what now he's always talking about. So we're gonna go have a weekend of man days. We're leaving all the women home, just me and you in a hotel doing what you want to do. You get to go where you want to go. You tell me where you want to go, and we're going. And we did that for an entire weekend, and we called it Man Days Weekend. And to this day, he still be like, "Dad, can we have a man day?"
Oh, that's cool.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I know you said your son has a comedic side. Does he get that from you or from his mom?
More so from his mom than me.
Okay.
But he's not funny.
Okay. He tries though.
He's funny. Like, he was a day or so ago. Like, I got a joke. He told a joke and everybody at the same time just turned around and looked at him.
Crickets.
Yeah. You need to stop, dude, because that wasn't funny. And he'll laugh at himself now, but have to, and then he recycled the same jokes over and over, the same lines. Like, dude, you got to come up with more material.
Oh, he had like a whole routine and everything.
Oh, he always trying to talk about somebody's hairline or something. We've been here 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of kids get on the hairline thing. My kids try to talk about my hairline.
Yeah, and I'm bald, so they. He got to come up with some more material.
Yeah, but you know what I always say is like trying to talk about somebody's hairline is like talking about a kid who's getting hair under their arms or something. You know, it's just it's a thing that comes with age. Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, though. He the one who got a jacked up hairline because he got that right here. And one time I made his hairline look like a Nike swoosh, and then he was all upset.
No. Just do it, huh?
Yeah. So he can't always take it when somebody giving it back to him. He needs to be quiet and stop and leave him alone at that point. Yeah.
That's crazy. So, Desmond, have you ever had like a jacked up haircut?
Oh, I'm sure. My dad used to cut our hair when we were young. But the thing I used to hate the most, right, is like when my dad used to cut our hair. He hold you hold your head like hey, sweaty hands, and then you have his hands. It's like, just can you hold my head up here? Don't do that. Yeah, and then my stepdad, he cut my hair one time, and back in the days we used to get like the triple fades and all that kind of stuff. Man, looking back at it, man, them fades was so jacked up. But hey, that was just let your hair grow because it wasn't no money to go pay for no haircut. You was gonna get it at home, or you wasn't gonna get it.
Yeah. You ever had the soup bowl?
Oh no. We had the clippers in, and we tried to do what we could do. It's just it wasn't barbershop fresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fresh enough though.
Hey, it got us through. I ain't getting no fights about my haircut, so.
Royce used to get the soup bowl.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My grandma used to send us on this little stove, man. Cut our hair for like an hour and a half with scissors, man. She used scissors.
Ooh.
Like imagine trying to get a fade with scissors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Just a little short here, a little longer back here.
Man, all the way back. I got evidence, man. That's gonna stay in the lock somewhere, locked and key somewhere, man, in the safe.
It couldn't have been a good one trying to get a haircut with scissors. Yeah.
So you mentioned getting haircuts from your stepdad. I know we talked during our masterclass. You had an amazing story, talking about your dad.
Yeah.
But tell us some more about that relationship with your stepdad. Like, are you guys still close to this day?
Yeah, actually, we went to go visit him yesterday for Easter also. you know, he the one who took care of my mom when she was sick right before she passed. You know, he was the man in the house. But I mean, he also he has a story too, because I don't know if I probably didn't, but October 17th is when my dad was shot and blinded. And it was September 11th of 1989 that my stepdad, he went to jail for armed robbery. So, and this was 2 months after my little brother was born. So he had his issues also, especially with fatherhood. Him and my brother, they get along, they father and son, but it's still that tension, you know, because he wasn't there when he was young.
Yeah.
For the first 10 years of his life, and then for the next 3 years, it was off and on. And you know, once you 13 years old, you know, you done established your identity and everything, and then you got this guy who you don't even know. He's been gone since you're 2 months old, coming back in and try to reestablish himself. So they always had a little friction, but nothing bad. You know what I'm saying? Nothing bad. But for me, because my father, he wasn't doing what he's supposed to do at that time. So when my stepfather, Lester, came in the picture, you know, that's when we thought everything was kind of getting better. You know, we were on Section 8. We wasn't telling the government, because, you know, a man can't be in the house and you be on Section 8, you know what I'm saying? Which is another issue. That's another story for another day, how they broke up the Black family like that. He came in and he's played sports, played basketball, real athletic. So we connected on that level. And it seemed like just when things were starting to settle in, boom, he's up, gone, out of the house, sentenced to 15 years in prison. And now it's, you know, what now? What now? And now my mom, you know, raising 4 boys on her own. Yeah. And this is right. The thing for her that she was scared about, she had just got a job with the Florida Highway Patrol as a dispatcher. Okay. So she was still within her probation period. And then now your man just got locked up for robbery. So she was afraid that she was gonna lose her job over that. But she didn't. She ended up working there for like 28 years. So yeah, but he once he got himself together, you know, he got himself together, and he took care of my mom, and you know, he was there for her until her final days.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about like doing like a talk with your dad and your stepdad?
Yeah, like, I have. So give y'all a little preview of something that's coming up. I haven't even announced it yet.
Okay.
I don't even know if I want to announce it, because I don't know if somebody's gonna try to take my idea, but they won't be as good as me at it if they do try to take it. I'm gonna start this series called Conversations, where I'm just having conversations with, you know, just people with great stories, right? Because a lot of the stuff that I do is more business based. You know, I'm talking to corporations, this, that, but I want to get down to the realness, to the rawness. Like, yeah, let's talk about, you know, what you really had to come through. And we ain't trying to sugarcoat nothing. We trying to put it all out there. And, you know, I think people, they want to hear that authenticity, right? Yeah. I told my dad about it, and I was like, you know, the first conversation that we got to have is me and you, because I tell your story so much, but people don't even know who you are. They see you on a picture or something like that, on a post every now and again, but you've never told your story to my audience. So I started that Conversations. He's going to be one of the first conversations that I had. And then I told my stepfather about what I do, and he was like, man, he used to do when I had my online sports show, he was one of my co-hosts. It was me, my brother, and him. So
that was cool.
My mom, everybody called him Scudder. So it was Paul, Des, and Scudder. Yeah. But we'll have that conversation, and it's going to be interesting from a lot of different directions. because everybody liked that redemption story.
Yeah.
And both my father and stepfather have those stories, but then how it ties into my story and how I, the struggles that I had to overcome coming up as a young man, without really a father figure that was solid in my life.
Yeah. That's why I asked, because, hearing your dad's story and your stepdad's story, they both had like trials and tribulations that they were able to come through. And it seemed like you all still have like a really good relationship, even through everything. So that's why I asked that question, to see if you ever thought about doing that.
Yeah, I have to give, and I think we talked about this on the show. The reason that we still have a good relationship with our dads is because of my mom.
Yeah.
Like, she could have easily, and when he was in jail, she had other relationships, but she always maintained the relationship with him while he was still in prison. And she could have moved on and told my little brother, your dad just screwed up, and forget him, and we're gonna move on, and whenever you come back, he come. But she wasn't like that. Like, she didn't talk bad about people. She didn't talk down on people. It was one of those things we always say: if you have something bad to say about somebody or something, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
And that was her. So, and I think if she wasn't that way and she was the other way, where she was going to speak negatively about my dad and my stepdad, that would have influenced us big time, because she was the one here that was providing. She was the one here that was struggling, trying to make sure that we had everything that we needed. She was the one that was going to every football, basketball game that we had. So if she would have said, you know what, forget them, we would have probably been like, okay, well, forget them then. So she was never that type of individual.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this. From your experiences in the NFL and also what you do now as a keynote speaker and an author, like how has all those experiences helped you as a father?
The biggest thing, I think the most impactful thing for me, was I knew how I wanted to have that attention from my dad, how I sought that out in a lot of ways, and not always good ways, and in situations that I shouldn't have been in. I always remember that. And even though me and their mom, we divorced, one of the things that I told them when I told them that, dad is, leaving, is that they were never going to have to like try to figure out like, where's my dad? Like,
yeah.
I can't reach out to my dad. Like, he's not here. Even though I'm not there physically, they knew I was a call away. And if that call came across and I needed to be there wherever they were at, they knew that I would be there on the next flight on the way there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably the biggest influence from, my dad and him not being there, and then seeing my stepdad get taken away for 10 whole years. But here's the other thing about my stepdad too. Like, he's a good dude. I can't say that my dad was always a good dude. My dad was a damn fool. He'll tell you. But my stepdad, I mean, he wasn't like that bad guy. And even with the armed robbery, he robbed him with my toy gun. And then the whole purpose of him going to rob some little side motel was so he could, provide for the family. He wasn't out just trying to rob somebody just to be robbing people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we got to eat. So we need to make something happen. And that's what he did. And, and to this day, I still don't get it. I still don't understand, like, rob somebody with a toy gun, right? It's a toy gun. And you get 15 years for that. I just never did understand that. So still to this day, I don't understand that. I get you got to serve some time because you tried to rob somebody, but there wasn't no intent to like harm anybody, hurt anybody, you know, besides the physical, not physical, but the emotional and mental toll that, you know, it's gonna affect someone. But yeah, it's just always thought, man, when I heard that it's 15 years, I was like my heart sunk because I thought, you know, my dad had been in and out of jail a bunch of times, but he wasn't ever gone for like years. Mm-hmm. So when I heard 15 years, I was like, oh my God, like
how old were you?
Huh?
How old were you during that time?
12 years old when all of this happened. When my dad got shot, when he went to jail, yeah, I was 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So, of course, I wasn't old enough to understand all of the details of what was going on, but the gist of it, I understood.
Man, that must have been a real big toy gun, man. 15 years. Man.
It was like looked like a little 9mm toy gun. I mean,
like the cat pistol, like one of those.
Yeah. It looked fairly decent. I mean, but you know what? I've never had that conversation with him, and maybe I went in there. Did you point that at them, or what did you do? Because you know it's a toy gun, right? So. Was you just waving it around to make it look real, or you know how did you do that? Because at some point, you know, you could look and be like, "That's plastic."
They got an orange tip on it.
Yeah.
So, like I guess from the outside looking in, Lovie Smith always seemed, well, to me, he always seemed like a wise adult. Has he ever given you like advice about parenting or like, well, any advice in general?
Yeah, so like I was saying, in Denver, I played with Coach Shanahan. In Miami, I played with Dave Wanstead. And then before Lovie, it was Dick Duran. And I believe eventually all of those coaches would have said, you know, go ahead and take care of your family. But I believe they would have wanted to, like, ask what was going on, give a little explanation, you know. But with Lovie, it was just, you know, just go handle your business. But I believe also with Lovie, I think I had built the reputation that, you know, I was a pretty responsible guy, family guy. You know, they knew I wasn't trying to just get out of practice or something like that. So that probably would have been the difference that, you know, I had built that professionalism with Lovie and in the Chicago Bears, where in Denver I was young, you know. And then in Miami, I was still young there also. So I don't know if it would have just been so easy. But I believe eventually they would have said, you know, go home and take care of your family.
That's cool. So you know what? I want to ask you a question, a football question. Who is the greatest quarterback in your opinion ever?
The greatest quarterback ever?
Yeah.
Well, he's playing right now here in Tampa.
Okay.
TB12.
So Brady.
Is that really a question these days?
Hey, man, to me, the greatest quarterback ever is Dan Marino. So I know Dan Marino don't have the championships, man, but he got the numbers.
I'm not even looking at it from a championship perspective. Like, Dan Marino has some pretty good teams down there in Miami. You know what I'm saying? So he had weapons, and he still couldn't get over the top. It's been some lackluster weapons that Tom Brady played with. Now he had a pretty good defense most of the time, but still, he made some of these guys like Welker, Edelman. He made them dudes look good, just like he did with Scotty Miller. Ain't his name Scotty Miller?
Amendola.
Who was the it was a receiver that went on the practice squad up there. He was a lacrosse player, and he got a chance to play And hell, he made him, I think his last name was Hogan or something like that. He made him look good.
Oh yeah, Chris Hogan, was it?
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
what you're talking about.
yeah. A lacrosse player. And then when he did get like a big time star receiver, they set all kind of records. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then you got the debate, well, was it the system or was it Tom Brady? Well, you can throw all that out the window now because he done won a Super Bowl somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
First year.
Yeah. So
Out the gate.
the system, it could have been, but he had to work the system. Just like he worked the system down here. So I don't think it's a debate who's the best quarterback of all time, and not just because of championships, just because of look how he elevated his team.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I'm just a hater, man. So I'm not giving him the top spot, man.
I'm one of those people that you can't hate on. You can't hate on greatness. Like, I don't like the Green Bay Packers. I'm cool with Aaron Rodgers because the dude's just like that. You know what I'm saying? How can I sit back and hate on Aaron Rodgers? For what? like one of the greatest of all time. I can't find myself disliking him because he does it at such a high level, man. You can't do nothing but to be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I see it.
So who would be on your Mount Rushmore of tight ends?
Ooh, Got to go with Shannon Sharp as one. Because he the one who ushered me into the game, and he's a Hall of Famer. And he showed me little skills and techniques on how to block as a smaller tight end. Tony Gonzalez got to go up there. Gronk going up there, even though he's still playing today. I think he's one of the top tight ends in NFL history. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm not thinking of missing nobody from back in the day. But the position is different than it was back then.
Yeah.
You got your Mike Dickers and Dave Caspers and people like that. But, you got to look at somebody like a Travis Kelce. Man, Kittle's, he doing his thing right now, but he just don't have the longevity. It might be Travis Kelce, but I'm just trying to make sure I'm not leaving out somebody that played like well before me.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Gonzalez.
Oh yeah,
he said
he was.
Said him already. That was number 2.
Tony Gonzalez.
I think who else?
And Kelce. Yeah, I'll go with that. I mean,
that's solid.
Yeah, I don't think nobody can be like, oh man, what are you talking about? Like, who is that bomb? Yeah.
Okay.
So take it back to the fatherhood topic. You mentioned that it was times where your dad wasn't around, then your stepdad wasn't around. After you got that starter pistol from you, it got busy. During those times where they were not around, who would you say was a good mentor for you during that time?
All coaches. It was a couple years after that, and I told this story on Welcome to Fatherhood, that it was a couple years after that I made that promise to my mom that I was going to be successful. And from there, it was like the coaches took over. I mean, Coach Joe, Coach Jones, Coach Joyner, Coach Jackson, my Coach J's, our middle school and high school coaches. Those guys really started, picking up that slack, making sure that I got back and forth and, make sure that I got my grades and all of that kind of stuff and became the guys who were the father figures in my life who I looked up to as grown men. So that's who I would say kind of once there was no father in the house, because my mom, she dated other men, couple I didn't like, one that was cool, he was cool, but that didn't end well with her and him. So man, I was really leaning on my coaches pretty much.
what's like the best advice that one of your like your high school coaches or your Pop Warner coaches has given you about life?
So in my book, number one, the first one in there is all you have is your word and your name.
Mm.
And I got that from Coach Joe, my high school football coach. And I'm going in as the quarterback. This is my junior year. It's after my junior year. And we got spring football coming up. And he wanted me to get everybody together and start doing 7-on-7s and going out and throwing the ball. And I'm not doing it. The quarterback's supposed to be the leader, right? So he put it on my shoulders to be out there, and I'm not showing up. I'm not getting people together. And, a week go by and nothing happened. And he called me one day, and like I tell people, he ain't no little dude, right? And back in the day, you could put your hands on your because he knew my mom and everything else. He had coached my brother, so he could jack me up if he wanted to. So he jacked me up a little bit, read me the riot act, and I got the little tear coming down. This dude is about to kill me right now. And then he just stopped and he said, "Son, let me tell you this. It's like all you have is your name and your word, and once you lose that, you lost everything." And I always remembered that. And then I just started to live by that. Like, my name and my word is who I am. That's what people look at and say, who is this guy? What is he about? And that's my name and my word. So I just always remembered that, and that became like my kind of my moral compass is always protect my name and my word. If I give my word to somebody, it means something. And my name means something. When you say my name, when anybody says my name, I want the emotional reaction to hear my name to be a good one. So, that's important to me.
Gotcha. That's good advice. What would you say? Because I'm a divorced dad too, so I've been through the trenches in that regard. How was that transition for you, going from being a full household, mom, dad, all the kids there, to you guys being separate? And what do you think was the biggest impact on the children during that time frame?
No, it was a mess, man. It was a mess. For me, the hardest thing for me was to actually tell my kids that I was leaving. And later on in life, once they were old enough, as they turned 16, was the first time I ever addressed it to them, because they were kids. They didn't need to be in between me and mom. You know what I'm saying? They just needed to be kids and just go play, go to school, do y'all thing. And I always try to keep them out of that. Can't say the same thing for the other side. But when, at the age of 16, the thing that I had to tell them is, Dad made a selfish decision. And that's the only thing that I could say, because I wasn't happy. So since I wasn't happy, I made the decision to leave. You know what I'm saying? Y'all didn't ask for that. Y'all didn't deserve that. But that's what I did. And I told him, you don't ever have to look at your mama crazy. You don't ever have to wonder. You don't ever have to be like, well, what happened? Nope. Your dad made a selfish decision because I wasn't happy, and I wasn't happy with your mom and our situation. So I decided to leave. But through that whole time, that 8 years from when I first left until I finally sat down with them and told them my side of the story, I had to just bear and grin. Some of the things that, you hear, and this, that, and the other, and another lady, and I'm like, nah, she knows better than that. I don't know why she's saying these things. But y'all kids, I'm not about to address that with y'all right now. y'all just respect your mom. You know, don't have your mom call me about nothing because you got to call me. I'm going for a thing down there. You know how to deal with me. But just having to, like, I guess, just take the high road. And so I didn't ruin a relationship with my kids, and I didn't turn their childhood into a nightmare, at least from my end. That I wasn't going to do that, and that was tough. That was tough because as I'm getting remarried, you know, there was a lot of darts being thrown and trying to, you know, drive a wedge through that marriage with my kids, and you know, it somewhat effective, but just that was the toughest part. Man, my kids are more important than me trying to, you know, and let me be right. Let me be right. Let me show you what's the right story. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just letting them be innocent. I had to, you know, balance that, you know, and just swallow my pride until they are old enough to understand it, and then rest it at that point. And then, so that was a hard thing. It was a lot of years of just like, are you serious? Is that how it's been told? So yeah, it was tough, but it was worth it because I got a great relationship with my kids to this day. And the other hard thing was, man, I love my wife and she was pregnant with my son. So I moved like 2 miles up the street, 3 miles up the street. So I could be close, but going through that whole thing. She's pregnant, and you know, we separated, and yeah, that was tough too.
So how did you know that? How did you know that they were ready to hear like your side of the story?
Because they were old enough to understand it.
Okay.
Yeah, they were old enough to process what I had to tell them, right? Because at the age of 12, you know, 13, they're not ready to hear what mom said this, but now you're saying this, like, that don't make no sense. But at the age of 16, you know, they've developed a little bit. They can take the information for themselves and be able to say, you know what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. So at that point, that's when, because it wasn't like, you know, well, when mom said this and when mom said that, no, it wasn't much like that. It was, hey, this is why I left. Here's the things that happened from my point of view. This is, you know, my youngest daughter, she was like, Dad, when we moved to Georgia, you know, I thought that you I didn't know where the hell y'all was at. Like, no, she left without telling me that she was going to Georgia. And I was like, do y'all recall time when your dad came to y'all school and y'all didn't get a chance to see me? Because they were talking to me on the phone and they told me the school, and I knew they were in the Atlanta area somewhere. So I looked up that school, and it was in Marietta, Georgia. I was on the first plane that next morning down to Marietta, Georgia, going to that school. And when I got to the school, they told me that they couldn't tell me if they went to that school or not because I wasn't on the paperwork. So they went to the school, because if they didn't go to the school, you'd just say, no, we don't have nobody here by that name. And they was like, okay, well, you got to show documents, marriage, this, that, and the other. And I had all of that stuff with me. And I brought it back, and then they said you got to have stuff notarized. When they got the stuff notarized, brought it all back, and then they told me it was going to be like some weeks or something before they could process it. And I was like, no, I just flew down here to see my kids. I ain't seen my kids in like months. Like, I'm here. No, sir, we can't do that because you're not on the paperwork. I almost went to jail. Almost went to jail. I acted a fool in there. I almost kicked the door off the hinges. And then something clicked in my mind. These people about to call the police. And then I started walking fast to the car. And you know, I ain't have no other agenda to go down there and see my kid. I was walking fast to the car. And once I got in the car, I was like, what am I gonna do? I was like, damn it, I'm going to the airport. And on the way to the airport, another flight. I was like, I'm about to go to jail. Like, I just showed out, and I'm pretty sure that door is broke that I just kicked. So, but
Oh, wow.
They heard about that, but they didn't know like everything. I was like, yeah, because your dad was down there trying to see y'all, because I know y'all didn't know what was going on. Y'all hadn't seen me in like 3 months, and I couldn't talk to them, and you know, it was just no communication, and that had never been before. Like, dad was always like, I bought them cell phones when they were 8 so they could call me. The cell phone got turned off. No communication. Like, so yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that though, man, because it's a lot of dads out there that are trying actively to see their children, and they're not allowed to. And that had to be tough. I can only imagine, man, not being able to see your kids.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's my pride and joy in that. Like, shoot, man. Like, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna see my kids. Like, you're not gonna stop me from seeing my kids. That's just not going to happen. And yeah, I got back up to Chicago, and I think that same day I was on the phone with my attorney. We got to go to court. I need my names on all paperwork, every single freaking paperwork that has to do with any school, anything for me being a father. I need that to be in black and white, court order, so I never have to go through that again. Yeah.
All right, Dad. So we getting close to time, but I want to ask you one last question. So if you could give any advice or words of wisdom to like a new dad or a dad that's, you know, going through it, well, what would it be?
So for all the dads that's going through it, right? This is what I say. There's certain battles that it's not even worth fighting because you have no control over it. And that's what I finally had to realize for myself. Like, certain things, I don't care how mad I get, it ain't gonna change because I don't have control over it. And as bad as, you know, you want to have your rights or be right or, you know, be in control of what, you're just not. You might as well stop trying to fight that battle and just let it go. Because it's important for you to be good and at peace for your kids. And if you're always trying to fight those unwinnable battles of things that you can't control, man, it's always gonna be like frustration and this and that. And when my kid's with me, I don't wanna be frustrated. I don't wanna be like thinking about something that she did or said or, I wanna have that real peaceful, intimate time with my kids when they with me. Yeah. So I just learned how to stop fighting all those battles. And now if it's a battle that you know, that I had some control over or something, you know, I fight that battle. Like getting my kid's name get my name on all of their paperwork, that type of stuff. But just in general, man, just as a father, look, it happens so quick. My girls are freaking 18 right now. They're getting ready to graduate. And just focus on the stuff that matters, man. It like, and the stuff that matters is like watching them grow up and being able to just sit back and watch and just enjoy that and enjoy these moments because they go so quick. And it's not like once they turn 18, they're gone. It's just another stage of life. But you don't get all of these years back. So you know, relish it. Like, man, like just be in the moment with them. That's what I try to do too, because I don't get enough time with them. So when I do get time with them, I try to be in the moment with them. I don't try to be at work. I don't try to be, you know, my brain over here thinking about this and that and the other. Man, I'm trying to be right here with them when they're with me. So that's the advice that I give.
Cool, dope. That's some good advice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, I want to definitely give you, your roses today, man, because you definitely dropped some bombs, man, over this. Not just right now, but over the master class too, man. A lot of people got great value from, your story, and again, I want to appreciate you for doing that, man.
No,
Keep doing what you're doing.
Man. Hey,
Yeah, thank you.
just trying to bring value. That's like another one of my things. Like, where can I provide value? And,
Yeah.
And like I tell them, and I tell anybody who will listen, if you want to build value, if you want to be a person of value, you just got to find out where you can provide value at and keep providing it as much as possible. So, I appreciate the opportunity to be given a stage to provide that value.
Yeah, for sure, man. This definitely was a good one, man. We got to do a part 2 for sure, man. Get a little bit more on that story, man. But what was any other questions you had, Dr. Raheem?
Oh no, that was my last question. Just some advice.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, man. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. For myself, Sir Royce Briales, Dr. Raheem Young, and our special guest, Desmond Clark. Definitely thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more announcements.